And of course, that looming a court case that is expected to take place at 5 o'clock. Now, let's get an analysis. We are now joined via Zoom by political analyst Khanyi Magubane. Khanyi, thank you so much for your time. While you've been seeing the visuals, you've been hearing what is being said by the delegates, the members, the leadership. The verification report for the 9th Elective Conference, has been signed off. Yet there is this court case that is hanging in the balance, by several ANC members from the Dr. W.B. Khubusane region in a bid to interdict the conference. What's your take on the integrity of this conference?
Onati, I think you use a very key word there when you say integrity, because if we only have to look at some of the people that are vying for some of the top positions, we've got the Babalo Matikizela slate that is, also fiercely fighting the Oscar Mabuyane slate. However, within Matikizela slate, you've got people like Terrace Ntutu, who are, known to have been charged with fraud and corruption relating to a 10 million rand tender in the Eastern Cape. However, we saw Paul Mashatile writing a letter saying that he and Xolile Kompela, who had their suspension overturned, their provincial suspension overturned by the National Appeals Committee of the ANC, giving them permission to go ahead and thus paving way for a very strong, slate to go through with Babalo Matikizela. And what we are also seeing here, Unati, is this court case is actually very important because it's an Oscar Mabuyane led, both the W.B. Khubusane and the Chris Hani regions are said to be Mabuyane backers, and Mabuyane is banking on at least 300 votes from those two regions. So very key. And Mabuyane himself, also known to be a Cyril Ramaphosa backer, and Matikizela, touted to be a Zwelimkhize man. And it said that if Babalo Matikizela goes through with his slate, it could also pave the way for a successful return of the former Minister of Health, Zwelimkhize, though I'm not too sure if his political aspirations are still the way they were pre the Digital Vibes saga. And now that his name has been dragged through the mud, Babalo Matikizela has been said to be left out in the cold without any strong backup from national. So we can see that Oscar Mabuyane is most probably going to come back, should the court case today rule in the favor of those two regions, because they are most likely going to vote for him and put him back into the provincial chairperson seat.
I'd like us to now discuss, what is at stake in terms of either of these two contenders winning. And I'm saying two because Mlibo Goboshiane is very silent in this battle, as it were, So what does a win by either Matikizela or even Mabuyane mean for the Eastern Cape from a national perspective, Khanyi? And I'd also like you, in your responding, just what would a win by either men mean for the Eastern Cape in particular?
Well, let's start with Oscar Mabuyane. If he should win, then definitely we know that this bodes well for the Cyril Ramaphosa camp, because the Eastern Cape continues to be a very important and key province when it comes to the elective conferences that take place on a national level, because they carry many delegates and also they carry a lot of weight in terms of their ability to sway, the results, given the big number of delegates that often qualify to go to the National Elective Conference. And as such, if Oscar Mabuyane should come back into power, we will see, the Cyril Ramaphosa camp certainly banking on the Eastern Cape and banking on those votes. And Oscar Mabuyane also remains a very strong contender, given how he performed for the ANC in the past local government election, where the ANC got at least 69.22% of votes. And, they performed reformed very well the ANC under the leadership of Oscar Mabuyane. So he's a firm favorite of the people, and he has experience, and he also has success stories that he can share. But also on the other hand, if we look at Babalo Madikizela's camp, he's coming in with a new energy. He's coming in with a new focus. He's saying that it's time for the ANC to rebuild and to get back to moral regeneration. It's not clear who will benefit on a national level from a Madikizela win. You know, as I said, that the main man who was backing him, which was William Kize, his name has since been dragged through the mud, and for all intents and purposes, he's in the political wilderness. And that's the only problem with Madikizela. He doesn't have a horse, you know, that's betting on him, you know. So I think that at this moment, Oscar Mabuyane is the most likely candidate to move forward, even though I believe that it's going to be a fierce contest, and I do believe that the final results will have just a marginal difference between the two of them, because the two contenders hold very strong regions within the Eastern Cape, and at this stage, Onati, it really could go either way.
Now, I don't know if you've seen, you know, just some of our reporting earlier, Samkele Maseko just showing us what is currently happening in the plenary sessions with those songs being sung, and he calling them very divisive in nature. You know, earlier ANC National Chairperson Gwede Mantashe, you know, said a strong and a united ANC in the Eastern Cape will send a strong message that there is hope in renewing the ANC nationally. And I want us to listen to his clip, and I'd like to get your view on it, Khanyi.
Okay.
A strong and united ANC in the Eastern Cape Conference will send a message that there is an opportunity and a chance to revive the African National Congress nationally. Ubani Provincial Conference ni tesa. Even the slightest hope of renewing and rebuilding the ANC is going to disappear. Yabona mos digendini baba niki kamel baleka kakhulu ba niliphondo lengwele. You are the province of the legends. Now as legends azikhula imithini zikhula kwi-process ze-organization zivele. I always have a question. I-members ANC ziyayazi la question yam. Xa kusithiwa equality membership yethu weak, I always go back and ask the question. I do that in the ANC, I do that everywhere. The equality leadership injani? Because in membership, equality, baninzi abantu bezapha nje recruit, abanye sibarecruitela nje conference. What do we do kabefikile? Do we throw punches into that quantity to convert it into quality? Or siyayeka nje simasikhala ngento yoba le membership week.
And Khanyi, in essence, you know, what Gwede Mantashe is saying there is that, you know, the unity and the renewal of the party, you know, in the Eastern Cape has bearing on the national, you know, ANC. And when you look at, you know, this particular conference happening at, you know, just months before the policy conference of the ANC, as well as the elective conference in December, you know, what's your take in terms of what he is saying, using those two words, unity and renewal, and particularly as he, you know, uses those phrases of isiXhosa, just putting the hierarchy on the Eastern Cape themselves as being a pivotal, you know, province in unity and renewal for the party?
Absolutely, and he said that Nilipondo, which, you know, as you alluded to, says that, you know, you are a very important, you know, part of this organization. You are almost the cardinal point, you know, that gives us direction on where we should go. Gwede also talks about quality of leadership here, Onati, and he asks, you know, what is the quality of leadership? Is it weak? Is it strong? And he's also paying, you know, a very clear attention to the issues of leadership leadership contestations, because this is the very reason why the Eastern Cape keeps failing to successfully launch their conferences, and their 2017 conference descended into chaos, and it's often dubbed as the Festival of Chairs. So what Gwede is trying to do is bring a sober-minded view to the Eastern Cape to say, you have to realize how important you are to us. At some point, you're going to have to rise above, party politics or petty party, internal factions. We know that there's been mudslinging ahead of these elections. Some of the candidates accusing other candidates of paying off candidates to vote for them. Specifically, Matikizela saying that Mabuyane has been paying for votes, and him saying, I don't have money, Mabuyane. And those are the kind of things that Gwede Mantashe wants the region to rise above it. If we are going to reach unity, if we are going to achieve what we are setting out to achieve, then at the end of the day, yes, healthy competition between candidates vying for a position is healthy. However, we must know that the ANC is the ultimate winner at the end of the day. I think that was the big sentiment that he was trying to pass through to the candidates at the conference.
I mean, just talking about leadership, is he the one to speak about quality leadership? I mean, one always says that, the kind of leadership has to be shown at national level. Is he trying to absolve himself in any way from a leadership perspective? Should we have seen perhaps someone else take that stage to say those words from a leadership perspective?
Oh, definitely. I mean, one can ask the question, was he a credible candidate to be making those statements, given how his name has also appeared in the Zondo Commission report, given how his name has continuously appeared over the years in many differing scandals that have faced the ANC. And the question, Onati, is if not him, then who? And if the next person comes through, will they too not have their own skeletons in the cupboard? In fact, when we look at the ANC as a collective, how many in those collectives can we actually say are clean? We are dealing with a national leadership, provincial leadership, regional leadership that all have skeletons in their closet. And so, one can say it's like the pot calling the kettle black, but at the end of the day, in my opinion, they're all tainted. Whether it was Gwede speaking, whether it was another official coming to speak as a deployee to the conference, we could be asking the very same questions. However, right now we're dealing with them within an ANC organizational structure, and we have to look at them as members of a political party. And within the ANC, Gwede remains an elder, and he remains somebody that they take quite seriously and they look up to, given his previous positions as the SG of the party, and the many times, the SG has actually saved the ANC from many catastrophes in the past. And so I think that even though in his personal capacity, we can say he is a questionable candidate to have made those statements, however, he still plays a critical and key role within the party, and he still remains highly respected.
Just looking at, this bid to interdict the conference, coming up in a few hours' time, in fact, less than an hour, going into court at 5 o'clock, and just referencing what, the 2017 conference has been now known as the Festival of Chairs. How confident are you that come tomorrow we will have some clear indication of who the new leadership will be in the Eastern Cape?
I think that if those branches that are contesting or are trying to interdict the conference can actually prove that they are branches in good standing, because that is the primary or the least, qualifying criteria, is that for a branch to be able to send a delegate to the conference, they have to be branches in good standing, and that's what credentials are all about, and that's why they take so many hours, because you're literally combing through each and every branch and representation at the conference. If they can prove it sufficiently, I believe that they do stand a good chance to actually win that court case and ultimately bring in their candidates, their representatives into the conference, which will then mean that the 1,500 candidates that are already confirmed, that number is most likely to go up, which bodes very well for Mabuyane, because he's expecting no less than 300 votes to come in from those two regions should they win their court case.
Khanyi, that's where we have to leave it for this afternoon. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Onati.
Right, political analyst there, Khanyi Magubane. All right, we'll continue with